Leaders exchanged heated rhetoric this week as tensions rose among factions in the Syrian conflict. Today, President Trump tweeted that the U.S. could respond with missiles very soon or not soon at all, after the latest report of a chemical weapons attack carried out by Syrian forces. Several other nations took to the United States' side in opposition to Syrian President Bashar al-Assad and his Russian allies. Here to tell us what President Trump's reaction means and what the president could do in the region are Talking Points analysts Jack Watson and Anthony Dabbundo. Guys, thank you for being here.
Great to be here.
So what does Trump's reaction to all of this mean?
Well, we've seen a reaction like this from the president regarding foreign policy before. With North Korea, he took to Twitter, called Kim Jong-un a little rocket man. He's doing a similar thing with President Bashar al-Assad, calling him Animal Assad, creating those those Twitter nicknames. But the key element here, people have been saying that the North Korean strategy that the president is employing is working because he's supposed to have a summit with them in May. The key here with the Syrian conflict is not only that there's several factions involved, but the fact that Russia is involved. They're a country with incredible growing global influence, and the fact that that whatever we do, whatever the United States does, in Russia could have consequences, or in Syria could have consequences with Russia.
And Anthony, in terms of this specific situation, what are the options for the United States?
Well, to me, the United States has three options. They've kind of been playing this tit-for-tat game. We saw last year when the Syrians released chemical weapons that they had the airstrike on the facility that they used to manufacture the weapons. But what we've seen is that worked in the short term, but in the long term, Assad said, I don't really care if you bomb one or two airfields, I'm still going to release these weapons. So that creates a problem for the president. Do you escalate the attacks even further and potentially even go into an intervention to prevent this from happening? Or do you take kind of what the Obama approach was and arm the rebels and try to fight a proxy war?
And things are a little different, if I could just add to that. Things are a little different this year at this particular moment in time because one of the big factions in Syria was at least ISIS. And the fact that their influence not only in Iraq but also in Syria has been completely diminishing, and the U.S. and Russia are both against ISIS, that leaves a faction completely out of it.
And when you look at the U.S., involved with all these different factions, how could each faction react to what the U.S. will ultimately do?
Well, that's going to be the key, Josh, because this is some people were saying that North Korea was the key foreign policy decision of the Trump administration. In my opinion, this has such great broad foreign policy implications for the administration, and especially with Secretary of State Rex Tillerson departing, the fact that we have so many shuffling different positions in the White House right now, in the White House cabinet, it's going to be incredibly interesting to see how everybody reacts to whatever that might be from the Trump administration.
And Anthony, just quickly here, in terms of the conflict moving forward, do we see it escalating anymore?
I think that the Trump administration is actually being quite smart. Trump went on Twitter and made his comments, but Secretary of Defense Mattis has been very careful. They're saying we're going to wait and see. We're going to confirm that this was a chemical attack. They have reason to believe that it's a chemical attack, but they don't know yet. I think we're going to see retaliatory airstrikes. They talked about there are submarines waiting. There are 2 destroyers waiting off the coast of Syria that they could potentially use to attack Syria with. But I don't think we're going to see the full-scale intervention that some people have touted as a potential.
Certainly something that we're going to be keeping our eye on. Certainly something the global community is also going to be watching. Thank you both.